the motherfucking wormhole, homie. It's the motherfucking wormhole, homie. Yeah, yeah. It's the motherfucking wormhole, homie. It's the motherfucking wormhole, homie. Yeah, yeah. What is up, y'all? It's your boy Andy Savage back with another episode of the Wormhole Podcast. Happy 420, y'all. It's motherfucking April 20th. To all my fucking potheads out there, cheers. Enjoy. Without further ado, we cannot start the motherfucking Wormhole Podcast on 420 without a
Area 420.
Area 420.
We've waited all year for this moment. Some of us, you know, right? This is an everyday thing for me, but any reason to be a degenerate, I'm there for, right? Woohoo, 420. Bro, I got I live in a legal state in Illinois. Obviously, we don't have the best deals of dispensaries around, not like California or Michigan or nothing like that. So ours, we got a free chocolate bar, which was an edible. But inside of that chocolate bar was just a little, some sort of win something, right? I won a free chillum. I seen somebody win free bongs. They had free gift cards. Some of the places in Michigan I seen, they were doing the first 100 customers gets a $50 gas card.
Damn, dude.
I was like, bro, they're like, we'll pay for your gas. Come on out. You know, like, I was like, hey, that's pretty fucking sweet. Like it's a cliche celebrated holiday amongst stoners, but I mean, why would you even be mad that we just chose a day to celebrate, right? Isn't every day worth celebrating? Every day you wake up on the right side of the dirt, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every day we wake up on the right side of the dirt's worth celebrating.
See, this day is also worth celebrating, even if you're just a former baker. I baked for a long time. It's Gino Lee, by the way, if you couldn't tell people. Well, yeah, I used to be a baker, and yeah, I may not be one now, but I'm right there with y'all.
Little vape. It's all good. Hey, you know, smoke is smoke, right? You know, except when it's crack smoke.
Don't do crack. Pull up your pants.
I don't think I could be wrong. I don't think crack is out there like that. No, now don't coming from somebody living in the inner city that crack used to pay my bills. But I don't think people are out there smoking crack like that no more. I don't think it's like meth and fentanyl and shit.
Yeah, that shit.
Fentanyl. Motherfuckers are like popping pills and shit. They're not hitting the missile like that no more.
Hold on, Savage. Somebody wants to puff a cloud into the frame.
It's motherfucking 420. I didn't give my boy his fucking proper intro. I was so concerned about 420. I fucked up, bro.
All right. You're cute. Sorry, people. She's a little camera shy.
Oh, it's all.
She's not ready. Oh, my Lord. Come on. It's 420. You're always ready on 420. It's the time of the day. It's all day.
I cleaned my bowl last night for 420. Yeah, so it's got to get packed. Thank you.
Oh, Lord. All right. How about while she's packing that, you do the proper intro? How about that?
Here with me is my homie, my longtime accomplice. Give it up for motherfucking Gino Lee.
What up, y'all? Make sure you guys are having a safe 420. Keep your snacks handy and lots of water because you know you're gonna need it.
Keep an extra lighter.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Keeping. Matter of fact, you should be walking around with a couple of these bad boys right here.
What is that? A torch?
No, it's the.
Oh my God, that is a huge lighter.
Yeah, just like the orange one from back in the day.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you got this, you might be able to remember it. There's no guarantees. You might start with this
Wow.
and end up with a mini bake.
Fantastic. Fantastic. You know, um, I've always been a fan of April, just in general. You know, April's a great month. The end of April's even better because it means spring's almost here. You know, like people cling to the early spring. We live in the Midwest, so our early spring is usually still winter.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I love it when it starts to warm up, man. Like I'm a homebody all winter. Like when I was a kid, I'd play in the snow. Ever since I got old, I don't play in the fucking snow no more. I don't even want to be outside if there's snow.
Yeah, dude. If you don't if you don't want your face on here, you could just
Yeah,
just rip
just rip the cloud and blow it by his
rip
head.
the crowd, and I'll try not to inhale. Oh, nobody saw the shifty eyes, did they?
I did not inhale.
I
Hey,
did
man.
not inhale.
Did you remember? Wasn't it Bill Clinton that said he hit a joint but he didn't inhale?
Yeah, with his eyes look like a Dr. Pepper label.
And then you had people like Barack Obama. I loved to smoke marijuana back when I was in college. You know.
Yeah, and 420.
I can only imagine if fucking Trump smokes weed. That was wonderful. I say it's the greatest weed. It was the greatest.
Doesn't matter if it was brown. I like brown.
I like all colors. Yep. It would be so fun.
Goddamn
Hey!
hippies.
Happy 420. That is.
I hope I don't suffer reefer madness. You know, like that movie from back in the day. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
I'm cheating. Mine was cached, and I'm not gonna cheat my viewers, so I just went to go grab the vape so I can take a nice fat one.
I would tell y'all people, if for some reason I end up being acting stupid, it's their fault.
It's my fault.
It's their fault. It's called P4.
Yeah. He's got 50 inches of me in front of him.
Dobie doesn't like this.
Hey, yo.
Dobie's scared. That's bigger than Dobie.
That's the size of his screen in front of him. Obviously, you know.
Dobie'd rather encounter Skinwalker. That's so much less scary.
Oh, man. You know, do you know how fucked up it is? Like, I was just thinking about that the other day, how you said you'd rather encounter a Skinwalker. And you know how, like, we had back in the day, oh. You know how, like, they had, how the women would choose the bear? Oh, shit. He's going for it. Oh, shit.
That's all you guys gonna get.
Oh, he did it. He did it.
Now, if I start acting stupid and weird, I'm gonna fucking be pissed. That was tasty. Now get it away from me.
Nice. Nice.
If I get a fucking headache, seriously, guys, people out there, y'all have eyewitness. They're fucking dicks.
If I can, well, see, now here's the thing, right? I'm never going to promote anybody picking up a new habit, but I tell you one thing. I significantly was able to cut down on doing everything else when I picked up smoking way more. So I was on probation when I got out of prison. I was on parole for 6 years afterwards. So I had to tread lightly when it came to marijuana and stuff like that. So I was fucking smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. I was drinking every day. Like my mental health was in a decline terribly. I lived in a very stressful environment, so like that didn't fucking help. But yeah, dude, I ended up smoking once I got the okay to go ahead and start smoking again. I got the okay from my PO later on, where he pretty much was like, yeah, you know, now that it's legal in Illinois, I don't give a fuck. So if you want to smoke, go ahead. And I was like, say less. And yeah, I picked it up, but I quit drinking and I also quit smoking cigarettes. So like it kind of balanced itself out as far as like, but I smoke way more weed because it's like I still have the craving to inhale something and to smoke something.
Yeah.
So instead I just smoke pot when I get that craving. And, you know, for some people, they'll hit like weed like a couple times a day and they'll be like, oh, that's enough. You know, now I smoke all fucking day, every day. Like, I'm not smoking to get high no more. I'm just smoking to smoke at this point.
Yeah. It's not like back in the day. Oh, God.
Oh, that's me. I
was Snoop Dogg.
like back in the day, though, even back in the day, yeah, we could smoke a lot, but also we were able to make a gram last us like 2 days if we needed to, smoking hitters and shit like that. I can't do that no more. I'm smoking like an eighth, like 2 grams to an eighth a day. And I'm like, God damn, boy. Like I'm just smoking too much. I noticed that if I buy shake, it burns way faster. I'll smoke a half ounce of shake in a week or two.
Yeah, that's when you that time like that is when you take a little bit, get a little bit of that resin, mix it with it. That'll make it last because you don't fucking want to hit that. It tastes nasty, so you don't want to keep hitting it. But it's potent enough that it'll give you a little kick.
Yeah, but nowadays we live in a world where it's not, you know, only what the guy that worked at Dunkin' Donuts is selling out of his, you know, book bag. Now I can go, oh, the weed's not strong enough. Well, I can go get the heroin of weed and I'll just go do a bunch of wax. I'm doing 100% THC wax. Just
as long as you don't forget that you're doing a podcast when you're on that shit and you're sitting there just like, why can I see myself? I'm having an out of body experience.
No, the nighttime podcasts are rough for me because I'm so used to shooting during the morning times. Like this is my scheduled shooting time, like right now, currently.
Yeah.
Where it's like I shoot at noon and I'm done by 2:30. You know, I don't do nothing after that. That's my work time. And then the rest of the day is like editing and just on the computer work and shit like that. But when I shoot them nighttime podcasts, like I'm fucking high, I'm tired, and it's like I'm ready for bed. I remember I was shooting one. I don't remember who it was with, but I was like, I literally zoned out for a minute and forgot I was on a podcast just because I'm fucking tired, and I'm just like, yeah. And I'm like, oh man, I feel so bad because it's like, man, fuck, it's just life, dude. You know, when you look at some of these like more famous podcasters, more famous people that are doing it, it's because they exist outside of that. You know, this is our, they like that's their job. They're getting paid by that. You know, us, we fucking got to work and do all that other stuff. So the podcast is like 10% of your brain. Well, 90% of your brain's worried about the rest of your day. Whereas for them, you know, they're able to put 100% in because that's all they got going on. This is work, you know.
Yeah.
Once this becomes work,
glad that this stuff that we do right here can actually, because I know some people that I work with, they listen to this. Sure. They listen to stuff like this while they're at work. It helps them through the day. Sure. I'm glad that we can provide that option for them.
Absolutely, man. Like I said, I've said this a million times. I don't always have the most articulate or insightful things to say, you know, and my opinion could be absolute dog shit, right? I'm not here to make you convinced of my opinion. Yeah. I'm just here as a medium to make you think about some shit you normally weren't going to think about. You know, when we spark up a conversation, we're talking about aliens, we're talking about ghosts, we're talking about cryptids. We're going to be talking about Skinwalkers, part 2, you know. When we're talking about any of these things, it's just to break out of the mundane thought process
Yeah.
and to, you know, break the cycle a little bit, you know, throw a
Stimulate the
fucking
imagination.
throw a stick in your spokes of society and make your bike
Yeah.
tip over and make you be like, what the fuck? Like, you know, I love these what the fuck stories, like this Conjuring shit. Like, I know it's silly, it's movies and all that, right? But just the simple fucking sheer amount of data behind the Warrens and how much involvement in this, like all these fucking paranormal cases, and hearing the same shit about Skinwalker Ranch, hearing all these fucking stories about it, like it is so difficult to just try to brush that shit off and start thinking about, you know, oh hey, think I might make some chicken for dinner tonight and go. I got this Karen at work that's fucking a bitch. Like, no, I don't want to think about that. Now I'm fucking invested in this. Like, you know, like what the fuck?
Yeah.
There was aliens one day, ghosts the next day. Like, what the fuck? This is crazy. You know, I just want to.
Someday it's gonna be two crazy white boys doing dumb shit.
Dude, it's been that my whole life. Yeah. It's been that my whole life. It's just now it's finally on video.
Oh, there's evidence.
Yeah. Oh boy. Oh boy. I'm glad I didn't have evidence of half the shit I did back in the day, man. It's kind of it's kind of off-putting, but it's real. So, you know, so much of my like childhood photos and shit got like ruined in my dad's basement with like flooding and shit like that. It's like there's almost zero paper trail of me existing until I'm like fucking 20. You know, like late, you know, late 20s and shit. Like everything, teenage years, pre-prison. Because teenage years I wasn't at home. I was, you know, drifting around. I think I had some fucking old photos that you guys had. There's people that'll pop up and be like, oh, I had a picture with you. I was never really big on being in people's pictures and shit. Partially because like I was like the runaway, and you know, I was leaving for a reason. I wasn't running away because I wanted to be free. I was running from where I was at, and our law brings us back there instead. So, you know, the cops, they'll just keep bringing you back to the place you're trying to get away from. It's almost like what that happened to one of Dahmer's victims. Did you know that?
No.
Yep. One of the guys fucking got away, running like fucking naked through the neighborhood. This is a story I heard. I could be completely wrong. Running naked through the neighborhood. Cops are like, oh, hey, what the fuck? They bring him back to Dahmer's house. He's like, oh, this is my boyfriend. He's got mental problems. Thank you for bringing him back home.
That didn't end well, did it?
No, it didn't end well for him, right? And it could have ended just the same for me. You know, hopefully not fucked, but that, you know, got fucked up a bunch, but not fucked, thankfully. Yeah, no, and you know, that's just crazy. You know, that's not just that you're bringing the kids back to the environment. But regardless of the fact, I didn't want to be in photos. I didn't want to be on like I had. I remember back when everybody was going on Jerry Springer and all that shit. I had zero interest in being on TV because I was like, I don't need people seeing me. You know, I was like, I can't do none of these things. Like, I cannot be on TV. I can't be in none of these news programs. I can't do none of this shit. And that's why I kind of like treaded lightly on even music shit, because it's like I can't really blow up, because if I do, then, you know, I couldn't do shit until I was 18. So as soon as I was 18, then I was like, all right, now I can actually attack. But yeah, man. And here we are, bro. Fucking 18 was 20 years ago, but I'm here now, damn it. I don't feel
38.
Bro, I'm 38. Yeah. I turned 39 in August.
We should retitle this thing called Ye Old Bastards.
Bro, I feel old as shit. It's weird because I feel old as shit, but yet I look way younger than I am, and like everybody's dumbfounded that I'm fucking 38 years old. They're like, bro, you look like you're like 26. And I was like, I fucking appreciate that. I don't feel 26 in my brain because I've just went through so much life. Like, I was a grown ass person at fucking 12 years old. You know, like that's when I know me and your old lady were having a conversation about that with like the way teens are now is not the way teens were back when we were kids. We were adults at teenage years. Like now, I seen a meme on Facebook earlier. It said, when I was 15, I was out stealing my mom's car at night. Now my 15-year-old wants me to watch him as he takes the garbage out because it's dark outside. You know, we're not the same 15. You know, like, and that's just facts, bro. And like, 15 is like, I was already in the shits at 15. I started this shit at 12 years old. You know, I was a fucking kid, bro. Now when I see a 12-year-old, they're fucking playing Roblox, walking on their tippy toes. Like, this is not somebody that's ready for adulthood. You know, where like at that age, I had to be a grown ass man and not act like a kid. Like, because if you act like a kid, nobody's going to want you around. So you got to be grown, you know? And yeah, and now as a father, I can't let my kid live the same teen life I live. So now he'll be 15 years old and scared of the fucking dark because I'm going to make this life perfect for him if I can.
Yeah.
You know, compared to the bullshit we had to go through back in the day.
Oh yeah, dude. I remember back in the day, 1 year, no power, no electricity. Still was out there riding the bikes around like a loony.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. Dude, I remember that vividly when I was at my dad's house, having no fucking power. I remember 1 year we didn't have no gas, so the heat didn't work. So we had fucking propane heaters from the shop all over the house. And then I find out like, oh, you're not supposed to be breathing in propane exhaust like that. I was like, we spent whole winters like that. And fucking, I remember like the water, like fucking, I don't think I ever had bottled water as a kid. I don't think anybody bought bottled water. We drank out of the sink.
In the fucking hose.
In the hose. Like, and then there's no difference in drinking out of the hose. The hose tasted like rust. It tasted like the hose a little bit more. But the sink water, like, I didn't even think twice about that. You throw a couple ice cubes in the cup, pour some sink water, and that's what you're drinking.
There you go.
And now, like, I wouldn't even think to drink out of the sink. I wouldn't even think to drink out of the sink.
Although nowadays the stuff that comes out of the sink is probably worse than the fucking water we were drinking back in the day.
I don't believe it. I believe it's the exact same. And I believe it's all fucking marketing scams.
Yeah.
Make us buy water now. Not only do you have to pay a water bill, but now you have to buy water for drinking consumption also. You know, I don't know, bro. Because if it's not safe to be drinking, why are people brushing their teeth with it and shit still? You're still putting it in your mouth.
Yeah.
I don't get it, man. And then fucking now with everybody trying to get off toilet paper and getting the bidets and all that, you know, everybody's getting off toilet paper, getting on the bidets. They want the water splashed in their ass. Like, you know, now you're going to take it in the mouth and in the ass. You're taking it both fucking ends. You're just absorbing the chemicals.
That just means that somebody in the world that has power has watched way too much porn.
Well, I don't think that's fucking far-fetched considering everybody in power was on Epstein Island fucking making porn. Ugh, gross.
All right. I think we should steer away from the politic topic or we can get into some shit.
Fuck them. You know, you can't cancel somebody that owns their own shit. It's a great thing about having the fucking Wormhole podcast. I am the fucking CEO, the owner, the motherfucking CFO. I am my own HR team.
Oh, so what happens if you have to file a sexual harassment suit?
I need to be filing them, man. This guy keeps fucking touching me. This fucking host of the Wormhole podcast is fucking grabbing my piece daily. You know,
It's the podcast guy. Mm.
he's like, "I heard you like some popsicles. I got some popsicles down in the
Can I
cellar."
see your wormhole? Whoa, okay, God, I just creep myself out.
Oh yeah, hey,
I
that's
can't do that voice very long.
that's always the fun thing about the wormhole. Is because I have such a dirty mind. I've always thought about it being the worm's hole. I used to spell it wormhole back in 2019 when I first started the pod. It would be wormhole. And I kind of leaned into the space a little bit more as I grew up. But back then, I was fucking big time stoner, big time. I worked in the cannabis industry back then. So, like, for work, I would do this shit. So, you know, I worked in cultivation and packaging for a local Illinois marijuana company. That's pretty fucking awesome. Greatest job ever work-wise. Like the work never really felt like work, but just the pay sucks, you know? Once you get into manufacturing and get into warehousing and shit, that's the trap, right? That's the fucking trap of warehousing. Once you get that little bit of boost in pay, you never want to go back. But then you constantly feel trapped in them fucking warehouses for the rest of your life. Artificial light, no talking to nobody, alone in the fucking aisles and in your head, miserable. And you'll fucking spend 25, 30 fucking years doing that before you realize how much of your life got wasted, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's very important to have an outlet like this. You know, something to get our minds out of that mundane. Even if I can spark the audience's fucking thought process, or just breaking myself out of the cycle of work brain and being able to lock in on this and do this instead. This is, you know, I feel blessed to have this. Not like I feel like this is a chore, that this is work. Like, I feel blessed to have this outlet. I feel blessed to have people that are like interested in what I have to say. Or if not, even if you're not interested in what I have to say, like, you're at least interested enough to watch me and be like, this dude is a fucking idiot. And just thinking that over in your head for 45 minutes. Bro, I appreciate you too. You know what I'm saying?
That's some good shit.
Well, yeah, dude, just having, you know, being able to break out of that. You know, how many times have we did that just watching a TV show, watching a movie where you're like so invested, and then you're like, oh, if only I had somebody I could talk to about that. Yeah. Now you do, you know, and now they do, because that's what podcasts are, is essentially long form conversation. It's not like watching TV. It's not like reading a book. It's not like watching a movie. It's not like listening. It's not like listening to the radio. This is essentially being able to listen to a conversation and pretend you're in it, because that's what everybody does. You pretend you're in it. In your head, not only are you listening to what we're saying, but you're also having retorts to what we're saying. Like it's stimulating your mind, and that's something podcasts have that no one else has. And that's kind of cool to me. And being an only child, I'm sorry if I'm fucking going off on a tangent, but being an only child and then, you know, spending a lot of your life alone and in your own thoughts, and now being a husband and a father, you know, we're some of the most unseen and unheard people that exist. You know what I mean? And that's our role. Like, you know, majority of what we feel and experience, we got to take in and hold it in and be strong about it. And we don't get to let it out. We don't get to talk about it to somebody. So even if you're listening to us two talk about it, and in your head you're pretending to talk, that's a therapy in itself, because it's self-therapy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm having the same shit with people that have, like, you get into an argument with somebody and then you go back home and then you replay that argument in your head and you're like, oh, I would have said this or I would have said that. That's essentially self-therapy. You know, you're replaying these moments, you're reanalyzing these moments, you're letting your mind go while you're still taking in that data, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Podcasts are fucking cool.
Yeah, they are. And to think something like this after all these years, here we are doing this shit.
I know,
Fucking bastards making me smoke again.
dude.
Assholes.
A little bit on our history. I know a lot of our audience is familiar with like Pinky and shit, and that's my cousin. But Gino here, he's been my friend for since I was like 14 fucking years old, pretty much. This was since like 2002, 2003. Yeah, it's 2002 actually. Yeah, it was like '02.
Yeah. 02.
'02, and yeah, man, he fucking knew me all the way up until I fucking went to prison and went away forever. That's when everybody forgot about me. I went away for a long fucking time, man. I went to prison for 8 years, and then I got out, and then did 6 years of parole where I fucking essentially was just a homebody, didn't talk to nobody because I needed to get off of this parole before I allow any additional triggers into my life. You know what I mean? Like, I needed to get my shit together before I was able to expand outwardly. And I was not going to get my parole fucked with. I was not going to like have just a certain circumstance happen, you know, because when you allow variables in your life, they bring in variables, you know? So like
Complications. Yeah.
I cannot allow complications or variables in right now. I'm fucking one track minded. This needs to get done for my fucking the rest of my life. You know, like if I don't get this done and out of the way, this could follow me for the rest of my fucking life. And I'm done with that. And, you know, now that that's all over with, I was all stemming off of a fucking aggravated battery and robbery case that I got. But I was 16 when I caught it. I had a fake ID that said I was 22. So they tried me as an adult under the fake name. So technically I have no criminal record now, you know, 20 years later.
Yeah.
But which is great. But I fucking went away for all that fucking time. They made it fucking in the courtroom. They're like, we're going to make an example out of you because you came to our state just to commit crime. You came here on vacation and caught robbery and assault cases. And, all this fucking nonsense, man. But I was a hard-headed kid, you know, and the whole time I was in county, I was fighting. I was going to fucking SAG. I'm in the hole. I was a hard-headed fucking teenager, man. I needed to go to jail. I needed to go to jail to set me down and get my fucking head on right, you know? The life I have now couldn't have been without that. So I wouldn't replace those moments. I just wish kind of that like I was able to get more of a head start on real adulthood. We joke that like, you know, had to be an adult since 12, but like that none of that's real adulthood. That's just adult survival. That's just adult survival mode. That's not building my credit, you know. That's not like, you know, buying a home and gaining equity and all that kind of shit. Like all of the actual adulting, starting a 401k. How badass would it have been if we started dumping into our 401k at fucking 17, 18 years old?
Yeah.
And not touch it and not have fucking COVID come take the rug out from under us. Like me and my wife both cashed out our 401ks during COVID. We had to. We had to pay the bills. We had to make life work. But, you know, I don't know. That's another government thing. I bet that was all just a fucking plan of theirs also. Just to fucking get all of our fucking 401ks back. Because so many people did. So many people cashed out their 401ks. Because a lot of people lost their jobs completely. You know? And when you lose your job, you're getting an offer right there. You know? You want to cash out your 401k or you want to transfer it? Well, I'm not working at a new job yet. So obviously I'm going to fucking take it, right? You don't got no money. You don't got no job. You got to take your 401k money. But, you know, here we are. 2020 fucking 2026 already. Jeez. Where does life go? I'll tell you where it goes. We're all caught up in one of these fucking traps from Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah. Hey, this isn't going to be this is something I don't do very often. I gotta step out for a second.
Oh,
Mother Nature calls.
you're all good.
You bastards got me high.
You got to take a poop.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Hold on. I'll be back.
Oh, that's funny as hell. But that's all right, y'all. You got me, and I'm here. And, in the spirit of 420 and in the spirit of the podcast and in the spirit of the audience, we're going to take another one. We're going to have another.
Area 420.
From me to you, y'all. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you 100%. And my boy's back, so we're gonna fucking go back to the motherfucking video. What up,
Yeah,
dog?
sorry about that, yo. Not much.
Oh, you're all good. I had a moment with our audience.
Yeah. It's always good.
Yep.
They're important.
Yep, very important.
They're probably so high they probably just thought I disappeared.
It's a possibility, man. I'm pretty high too, and I don't want to go off onto too many tangents because number one, my brain will take me there without the weed. With the weed, forget about it. The train has left the fucking station. But we did want to go into part 2 of the Skinwalkers. We our last episode, we started getting into the Skinwalkers, and there's just so much data. Even still, like, it was difficult to try to even narrow it down to make an episode 2, just because there's literally, you could make an entire podcast about it. There is so much shit. And when I said, like, it goes from everything, aliens, supernatural shit, the Skinwalker shit, like the Skinwalkers being like Native American, that's like a spiritual thing. So between spiritual native entities, demons, aliens, ghosts, fucking natural fires, all types of shit, man. It's crazy the amount of shit that happens on just this one property. And
it puts stock into the possibility that cursed land could exist.
How can you think that it doesn't after hearing this? I mean, everyone's allowed a certain level of skepticism, but this is not that. Like, you can't be too much of a skeptic about skin. You could say like, oh, hey, I think 70% of these stories are bullshit, right? But there's still 30 of them that are going to have you like, what the fuck? Like, it's just so much, and I let's go ahead and get into one of the little videos I had pulled up about that. Oh no, it wasn't ready.
I think your computer's high, dude.
I know. Computer's high, mixed with me, mixed with mixed with me mostly.
So we have a stoned computer with a stoned operator, and in this lull, this Skinwalker Ranch that we're talking about, people, if you're tuning in, you ain't never heard of the Skinwalker Ranch, you might want to get out from under the rock. But there's, like he said, so much stuff that happens there. So many people have had encounters. That shit's crazy. It's like they see stuff like tiny little fucking miniature stealth ships. Fucking, they keep hearing invisible helicopters, all kinds of crazy shit. Fucking wolf that's bulletproof. Come on, is this a movie?
Yeah, the bulletproof wolf is crazy.
But you never know. You just gotta look at it. Let your imagination do its little thing. Go to the skinwalkerranch.org website. See what kind of shit it'll do to your head.
Yeah, that Skinwalker Ranch website's almost too much. Like,
Oh yeah.
when I was going through it, I'm like, I'm trying to navigate all the data, and I'm like, holy shit, this is like almost too much.
Oh yeah. Was there somebody out there that's got gonna go hardcore into that?
Yep.
Be careful and be safe doing it. Don't
Yep.
be a dumbass.
Well, here we go. Now we're solid.
All right,
Where
here
to
we
turn.
go.
They were stuck on a property that was haunted by something that went beyond their understanding, and to make matters worse, they were facing financial ruin.
Excuse me, sir. Is it
Fortunately,
talking?
some
Yes, you don't hear it?
No, sir, I do not.
Oh no.
I'm like, I might be a little stoned, but I'm not that stoned. My ears did not stop functioning. But that's all good. Weird shit always happens when we try to do these podcasts.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, like when the last time you got attacked by your like your fucking a picture came off the wall.
Yes. Literally. Literally, yep.
Yeah.
someone
Now
had
we're
heard
good.
their cry for help.
From the top, y'all.
Haunted by something of mental breakdown, the Sherman family had nowhere to turn. They were stuck on a property that was haunted by something that went beyond their understanding, and to make matters worse, they were facing financial ruin. Fortunately, someone had heard their cry for help.
Aliens. Conspiracies. This motherfucker. Strange deaths, ghosts, mysteries, true crime. Part 2, y'all.
Tales from the Skinwalker Ranch. Creepy already.
In March 1996, at around the same time that the Sherman family were considering leaving the ranch, billionaire real estate developer Robert Bigelow was busy putting together an organization that would come to
Bigelow.
be known as the National Institute for Discovery Science,
Male
or NIDS
gigolo.
for short.
Oops.
It was an ambitious undertaking,
Male juggalo.
and one which was unprecedented. A well-funded, highly qualified, state-of-the-art equipped team of scientists that could deploy anywhere in the country at a moment's notice and investigate events of high strangeness. Never before had a scientific organisation been formed with such significant funding in order to bring systematic analysis and scrutiny to what was essentially paranormal and supernatural research. These specialised individuals were no fly-by-night dropouts who didn't quite make the cut in their respective fields of study. These were PhD professors, qualified in subjects ranging from biochemistry and psychology to astrophysics and veterinary science. Bigelow was careful to recruit only candidates with a sceptical frame of mind, field investigators that would always look for rational explanations first and foremost, and leave pseudoscience at the door. In addition, he also assembled a world-class advisory board, the members of which were handpicked from a wide array of disciplines. This group would evaluate evidence gathered by the field team's activities. All in all, NIDS would comprise more than 25 members, the majority of which were from the scientific community, but would also include security personnel recruited from former military circles. Two of the most prominent members of the scientific team were physicist Eric Davis and biochemist Colm Kelleher. Kelleher would go on to document both the Shermans' and NIDS' experiences in his book, Hunt for the Skinwalker, which he wrote in collaboration with George Knapp. Shortly after NIDS was formed, they heard echoes in the press regarding a small ranch in the north of Utah, which was apparently being visited by UFOs on a regular basis. Terry Sherman had reluctantly approached a local newspaper at the beginning of the year to report the strange happenings on his property, almost as a cry for help. He had long held the suspicion that the majority of the activity was somehow related to secretive military technology. He did not believe in extraterrestrials or any of the tales regarding Native American folklore, and he hoped that by bringing attention to the phenomena, whoever was perpetuating it might back off. In the summer of 1996, Bigelow called a meeting to discuss the case. In many ways, the ranch presented a tantalizing opportunity, a laboratory out in the field, away from prying eyes, that could study a wide variety of phenomena that was occurring on a regular basis and was of the precise nature for which the organisation was formed. The prospect seemed too good to pass up. Within a matter of weeks, the NIDS team had met with the Sherman family, and after hearing their unbelievable experiences, expressed their interest in purchasing the property from them. Whilst Gwen and the children were desperate to move, and would have been happy never to have set foot on the ranch again, Terry was a proud man, and he was not quite ready to leave. He was infuriated at being run off his own land, especially as he still didn't know what was behind the phenomena. However, he had to do what was best for his family, and grudgingly agreed, although he did offer to become ranch manager for the NIDS team. He was keen to see how their investigation would progress, and what answers they might find, if only to get some closure from the ordeal he and his family had suffered over the last 2 years. As NIDS was a team of scientists used to working in lab conditions and didn't know the first thing about running a ranch, they happily accepted his offer. Along with the property, they also purchased livestock to keep as bait, and Terry also housed some of his own cattle there for the same purpose. By September that year, NIDS had moved their observation trailer and mobile laboratory onto the property. The field team consisted of 4 scientists and a group of assistant investigators who were stationed at the ranch permanently around the clock. The field team's role was to collect and analyse evidence and then present it in monthly meetings to the advisory board. The first thing the team did when they arrived was run a battery of tests. The phenomena described by the Sherman family was far too varied and bizarre to pin down to any one explanation, and their initial thoughts were that there was possibly a psychological or environmental angle to consider. Were the Shermans simply lying for attention? Had Terry and his family been suffering from a mass delusion? Were there plants on the land which emitted spores with hallucinogenic properties? Was the family's water supply being contaminated? Did the ranch have areas with intense electromagnetic fields? Were there any instances of very low or ultra-low frequencies, otherwise known as infrasound? Were there any fault lines running across the property, creating a situation of mild tectonic or seismic stress, which is thought to cause light anomalies and visual hallucinations? The short answer to all of these questions was a resounding no, although it would take longer to answer some of these queries than others, especially regarding psychological factors. Despite this, aside from a few strange lights seen in the sky, the remainder of 1996 would be uneventful, and the NIDS field team were initially doubtful of some of the more bizarre stories they had been told, but all that would change in the coming year. In essence, the longer the NIDS team spent on the ranch, the more they would come to the terrifying realization that the Sherman family was telling the truth. On the 9th of March 1997, Terry and Gwen discovered the carcass of a black Angus calf lying on the grass a little over 100 yards from the homestead. Gwen seldom ventured onto the ranch since the family had moved away, but on this day, she had been helping Terry tag some of the animals in the pasture. They had tagged this particular calf, and then walked 300 yards across the field to tag others, which were grazing to the south. Whilst they were attending to this task, a dog that was with them began to growl. Its hair stood on end as it looked back towards the ranch house. Terry and Gwen followed its gaze, and saw that the mother of the first calf was limping back and forth, clearly out of her wits. When they ran over to see what was going on, they found her calf on the ground. Its entire abdominal cavity, including all of its organs, had been removed. The only things that remained were its head, legs and spinal column, with some of the ribcage still intact. It was also missing an ear, which looked as if it had been sliced off with an extremely sharp instrument. Most perplexing of all was that there was not one single drop of blood on the grass around the animal. The ear that had been sliced off was the one that they had tagged less than 45 minutes before. During that time, something had removed more than 60 pounds of meat from this poor animal, in broad daylight and in full view of the rancher and his wife, though they hadn't seen or heard a thing. The NIDS veterinarian was baffled. The cuts were clean and precise, with no spillage of blood. He surmised that no predator that he knew of could have been responsible. When asked whether they had noticed anything unusual prior to the incident, both Terry and Gwen reported that they had smelled a heavy musk odour in the area. After the vet had taken necropsy samples from the calf, the rest of the team began to search for tracks. In doing so, they happened to pass one of the kennels, and saw that the dogs were all huddled inside. It should be mentioned at this point that NIDS had strategically placed 3 large observation towers on the property, each surrounded by a chain link fence, inside which they housed a number of dogs. Canines had an uncanny ability to sense when something strange was about to happen, so the team used them as biosensors. Terry remarked how the dogs hadn't ventured out all day. In fact, they would refuse to leave their shelter for many days after this event, and slowly but surely, the NIDS team would come to understand why. Something was lurking on the ranch. At around 11 PM on the 12th of March, the dogs started howling and barking at something on the far side of the pasture. Terry and the NIDS team had been sitting inside the observation trailer at the time, but soon piled into a truck and headed towards the disturbance. The 4x4 had a bright spotlight fitted to the roof, and as they rounded the corner, the beam washed over a copse of distant cottonwoods. In that moment, they saw a pair of yellow orbs sitting about 20 feet up in one of the trees. It was a huge pair of eyes reflecting the light. Terry stopped the truck and reached behind him for his rifle. Exiting the vehicle, he leaned on the open door and took aim. Through the scope, he could see the outline of a huge creature sitting in the tree. "I'm not going to let it get another calf," he growled. It didn't even move as he settled his sights. It just sat there staring right back at him. The moment the rifle's report echoed across the open pasture, the eyes blinked out of existence, and a loud thud was heard as whatever it was fell from the branches. Terry got back into the vehicle and drove towards the cottonwoods, stopping about 40 feet away. There was no sign of the huge animal, underneath the tree or anywhere else. Everything was silent as Terry and the NIDS investigators spread out and entered the tree line. They were about 5 yards apart when Terry was heard to shout, "I see him." 2 more loud shots rang out. As the NIDS team ran towards him, they heard a commotion in the branches ahead as something heavy blundered through the thicket, moving away from them. It had disappeared by the time they reached the rancher. "It looked like a huge dog, but bipedal," he exclaimed. After searching for an hour in darkness, the team found only 2 large footprints spaced 20 feet apart from each other. They were each 14 inches long and exhibited huge claw indentations. The rest of the month passed by without further incident, but the dogs and livestock continued to act strange. They were on edge and had a hunted look about them, almost as if they could sense that there was a predator in the area. On the 1st of April, another calf vanished without trace. No blood or tracks were found. It was simply there 1 minute and gone the next. On the 2nd, one of the weirdest and possibly most famous of all events to take place on the ranch would occur. It involved 4 of Terry's prized Angus bulls, which he had temporarily moved back onto the property out of convenience. Gwen had joined him once again to help out with a few jobs. They were in a truck heading from the east side of the ranch over to the west, and as they passed the homestead, they looked across at the nearby corral and saw their 4 black Angus bulls staring back at them. Each one was worth thousands of dollars. There was perhaps 12 grand's worth of livestock in this quartet alone. With the cattle mutilations and disappearances still fresh in their minds, Gwen remarked to Terry how she would be devastated if anything was to happen to those 4 bulls. At the west end of the ranch, they repaired a broken fence line and tagged a couple of calves, which had been born the previous evening. These tasks took them no more than an hour. On the way back, they rounded the bend in the track heading towards the homestead, and their hearts suddenly skipped a beat. The 4 black Angus bulls were no longer in the corral. Terry jumped out of the vehicle in a panic and ran over to the enclosure. The gates were still locked, but the bulls were nowhere to be seen. He couldn't believe his eyes.
Creepy.
Next to the corral was an old trailer, which hadn't been used in years. Terry happened to jump up onto a feeding trough and look in through one of the skylights, and to his utter amazement, saw all 4 bulls standing silently, crammed into the tiny space. They seemed to be in some sort of trance.
Fuck.
"They're in here," he shouted to his wife, and as he did, the bulls woke up from whatever hypnotic state they were in. They seemed to suddenly realise where they were and began to panic, kicking and thrashing wildly inside the narrow trailer. In the end, one of the back doors was kicked off, and all 4 bulls ran out into the sunlight. It took Terry and his wife 2 hours of gentle cajoling to get them back into the corral. When the NIDS team inspected the trailer, they did so in a state of mild disbelief. It would have taken hours to get just one of those angry bulls into such a confined space, let alone 4. In fact, there was no way 4 bulls would ever entertain the idea of sharing such a small trailer with one another. The only entrance into the trailer from the corral was through a door which was wired shut. the NIDS team found old cobwebs strewn across the inside door panel and frame, proving that this entrance hadn't been opened in a very long time.
Wow.
This was baffling, as there was no other way the bulls could have gotten into the trailer from the cattle pen. Upon further investigation, they found that the bars of the corral had somehow been highly magnetized, an anomaly which dissipated over time. This prompted the NIDS team to scan for magnetic fields across the entire property. Sometime later that month, Colm Kelleher was investigating some strange tracks which had been found on the south side of the ranch, when an overpowering scent of musk came over him. It was an odd smell. Being stationed on the property for a number of months already, he had become accustomed to the various odours of fauna and wildlife, but this was different. About 50 yards away he could see his teammate picking his way through some Russian olives, but couldn't attribute the strange smell to anything. Suddenly, the hairs on the back of his neck stood on end, and a chill ran down his spine. Something was close by. He couldn't see it, but he could feel its presence. It was watching him. Putting it down to his imagination, he gritted his teeth and continued with the task at hand. Gradually the feeling subsided and the musk odour receded. When he spoke to his teammate an hour or so later, he too reported that he'd felt as if he was being watched, and had also picked up on the strange scent. He also mentioned that his field compass had acted up, pointing towards the direction where the scent was strongest, and only returning to normal after the odour had dissipated. These magnetic interferences were the first vague pattern that the investigators had seen. Over the course of the year, more strange events would take place, which for the NIDS team would remove any lingering doubt they held over the high strangeness occurring on the ranch. In early June, Colm Kelleher and Eric Davis were on one of their regular stakeouts in front of the dilapidated Middle Homestead, one of the most notorious hotspots on the property. They were looking out over an open field towards some trees. Eric was scanning the distance with a pair of night vision goggles, whilst Colm was taking long exposure shots of the night sky. Suddenly the dogs that were with them began to yelp and cower behind their legs. At the same time, Eric took a sharp breath and said, "Jesus, there's something in the trees over there. A huge black thing." Colm could not see anything, but then he didn't have the luxury of night vision goggles, so instead began focusing his camera on the trees. "It's big. I'm not sure if it's in the trees or behind the trees," Eric continued. "It's moving north." Colm continued taking shots when his teammate suddenly announced, "It's got me. It's saying, 'We are watching you.'" Eric kept muttering "Jesus Christ" over and over as if he was experiencing some inner turmoil, until finally he said that the object was moving away. When the ordeal was over, Colm asked Eric what had happened, and he replied that he didn't know. It was almost as if the thing in the trees had taken control of his mind. On the way back to the observation trailer, Colm made note of how jumpy his colleague seemed, and wondered if he was more disturbed by his experience than he was letting on. Over the course of the summer, the NIDS team would play cat and mouse with the infamous orbs of light, which appeared regularly all over the property, but they always seemed one step ahead, only appearing for brief moments, and leading investigators on wild goose chases from one end of the ranch to the other as they tried to photograph these strange anomalies. In August, 2 team members would have one of the most frightening experiences. It was around 3:30 AM, and they were on top of the ridge, looking down towards the notorious Middle Homestead. Again, only one of them had a pair of infrared binoculars, whilst the other looked after various scientific instruments and sensors. They had been standing up on the ridge for about 3 hours, and were about to move on to another location when Mike, the investigator with the binoculars, suddenly noticed a light appear in a pasture about 150 feet below. Bizarrely, his colleague, Jim, could only see a dull illumination, yet through the infrared goggles it appeared as bright as the moon. It was hovering about 3 feet off the ground, and Mike was talking about how it seemed to be growing in size, when he stopped abruptly and said, "It's not a light, it's a tunnel. I can see through to the other side." Jim asked his colleague if he could take a look, but Mike was transfixed on the strange phenomenon. "There's something in the tunnel," he exclaimed. "It's crawling out." To Mike's utter disbelief, he could see a huge black featureless figure crawling on its elbows and knees from the other side of the tunnel. He then witnessed it climb out of the tunnel and run up the side of the ridge, moving faster than was humanly possible. Both investigators heard the shale crunch under its feet as it ran past them, about 30 feet away, before it disappeared into the darkness. Immediately afterwards, they were greeted by a terrifyingly eerie silence, as an odd, musky odour hung in the night air.
Yeesh.
In many ways, the things that the NIDS team witnessed were every bit as frightening, bizarre and inexplicable as the activity the Sherman family had experienced. They saw the same orbs of light zipping through fields and tree lines, metallic UFOs hovering over the property, strange creatures and portal-like anomalies. They witnessed firsthand the devastating cattle mutilations. They experienced the poltergeist-like activity, strange odours, magnetic fields, heard the noises underground, and many other things besides. But by mid-1998, the activity had started to decline, and it would remain that way for many years afterwards, until the team finally pulled the plug and left the property in 2004. They had not succeeded in explaining what was occurring, but for the time being at least, they had succeeded in putting an end to the strange activity on the ranch, even if this was not the outcome they had hoped for. There is a common belief amongst skeptics that the NIDS team failed to gather any supporting evidence, and in some ways this is true, but not entirely accurate. They did succeed in recording some of the anomalies on film. In fact, so did Terry Sherman when he owned the ranch, and some of this can be seen in Jeremy Corbell's documentary Hunt for the Skinwalker, which is based on Colm Kelleher's and George Knapp's work of the same name. Most of this video evidence was rejected by the NIDS advisory board, as the majority of the recordings took place at night and captured the most common phenomenon, which was the orbs of light. Unfortunately, due to the darkness, these recordings only depicted what looked like indistinct points of light in the night sky or off in the distance, and were pretty mundane. The point the NIDS team made in the aftermath of their investigation was that whatever was haunting the ranch did not like the intrusion. It did not want to be investigated. It was always one step ahead, and seemed to be completely in control. Equipment would inexplicably fail at the most inopportune times. The phenomena seemed to know when the team was waiting for something to happen, and when something did happen, it would occur just outside their camera's field of view, and would be far too brief to record in any case. The activity was nearly always one of a kind, and it rarely, if ever, repeated itself, and if it did, it would be in a completely different place to where their cameras were trained. It was extremely frustrating for those involved in the investigation, and Robert Bigelow himself would go on to describe the phenomena as a precognitive sentient intelligence. Despite all this, there are hundreds of well-documented eyewitness accounts, not just from the NIDS team, but also from neighbours, residents of the Uinta Basin, and people who have visited the ranch since out of curiosity. Skinwalker Ranch is a rich tapestry of strange occurrences, far too bizarre and unbelievable for many people to accept. But if there is any truth to the claims, and if there are explanations out there, what could they be? First of all, let's address the elephant in the room. Could the whole thing have been an elaborate hoax? Were the Shermans faking the phenomena to offload a property which had in fact turned out to be a financial disaster? They had lost a lot of cattle and were on the verge of bankruptcy after all. But why invent such fantastical stories? Surely this would only damage their reputation and ultimately devalue the land. Not only this, but UFOs and strange creatures had been seen and reported in the region for centuries, and neighbours of the Shermans reported similar activity on their ranches. This somewhat suggests that the phenomena was not unique to Skinwalker Ranch, and by extension, not the product of the Shermans' imaginations. They could not have invented hundreds of years' worth of experiences.
Right.
Add in the fact that Robert Bigelow was convinced enough to purchase the property, as well as invest millions in a decade-long study, and that the phenomena was also witnessed by the investigative team, who, as it happens, were PhD professors and initially skeptical. Some skeptics have argued that the whole thing was created by George Knapp and Robert Bigelow, in the hopes of turning the ranch into a supernatural tourist spot. But one, this hasn't happened. In fact, Bigelow held on to and protected the property for 20 years, and the only thing he changed in that time was the front gate. 2. Consider again the accounts of the locals, which stretch back for centuries. These experiences were there long before Bigelow, Knapp, or even the Shermans had anything to do with the ranch. So if not a hoax, what else could have been occurring? Were visitors to the ranch suffering some sort of mass delusion?
No.
It is not impossible, but highly unlikely given the sheer amount of people involved. As already mentioned, NIDS carried out a battery of tests to rule out any environmental factors, and they found no common thread in the psychological profiling of people they talked to, and even themselves, which would point to mass delusion. Not only that, but in many cases, physical evidence was left behind, be it footprints, mutilated cattle, vaporized dogs, and detectable magnetic fields, amongst many other things. These physical signs were not imagined. Perhaps the most popular theory amongst people who believe the phenomena to be real is that the ranch was the scene of extraterrestrial visitation. Whilst it's true that many UFOs, strange craft and creatures were seen, anything that was left behind by the phenomena and later studied by the NIDS team yielded only terrestrial signatures. This does not entirely rule out the involvement of extraterrestrials, but it certainly points in other directions. For instance, could there be any truth to Native American legends regarding skinwalkers? After all, the Utes firmly believed that the Navajo put a curse on their lands after the latter was pushed out of northeastern Utah. Many of the things witnessed on the ranch do seem to fit in with how Native Americans describe skinwalkers, but certainly not all of the phenomena can be attributed to these particular entities. Another widely considered possibility is that the military was somehow responsible for the strange occurrences. Terry Sherman certainly seemed to think so. It is indeed plausible that the military used the secluded ranch to test out advanced and secretive technologies, with the residents becoming unwitting guinea pigs in experiments involving psychological warfare. Interestingly, the NIDS advisory board contacted a number of remote viewers and asked them to examine the property. Whilst controversial, remote viewing was studied by the CIA for over 30 years, and in many cases, the results of these studies were astounding. The first remote viewer had no information about the ranch or any knowledge of what had taken place there, yet he was able to produce an almost exact sketch of the layout, including the 3 homesteads, the creek, the canal and the ridge. He pinpointed an area on the southwestern part of the property, stating that there was an energy field there, which he described as disturbing. Another remote viewer stated that the second homestead, where some of the most disturbing phenomena took place, was the site of weird energy vortices. The third remote viewer was asked to describe what happened during the daylight mutilation of the calf. He got the impression that it was carried out by a drone of interdimensional nature, and that it had some connection to the military. Another remote viewing exercise conducted by multiple people described the ranch as the site of a military operation. 3 of the 5 participants independently perceived an underground base, and a large network of electronic equipment and wires that had been embedded in the ground. Others saw Navy personnel in dark sunglasses and sporting Navy tattoos, reporting that much of the activity was taking place outdoors and at night, and was somehow linked to an aircraft carrier. Another of the group perceived humanoid figures, who spoke in a strange language, and were seen to be working alongside human beings. Whilst it's true that the military could have been involved, there are problems with this suggestion. What of the strange creatures that were seen, or the orbs of light that could affect human emotions? What about the portal-like structures, or the fact that the phenomena stretches back to a time before the US military was even conceived? Unless there are other intelligences involved, which have since invited collaboration with human beings and the military-industrial complex. Overall, it was said that all remote viewers came away from the task with feelings of dread, darkness and death, and a notion that whatever is taking place at the ranch is inherently evil. Others have described the property as an interdimensional gateway, where entities of all kinds have the ability to drop into our reality at will, and leave just as quickly. Some have even suggested that maybe all paranormal and supernatural phenomena reported all over the world, from cryptids and aliens to poltergeists and UFOs, all come from the same place. We see fleeting glimpses of them when they choose to show themselves to us, but then there are certain epicenters where all of these phenomena leak through en masse, and maybe Skinwalker Ranch is just one of those hotspots. Whatever it is that haunts the property, it is clearly intelligent, but its agenda remains unclear. It was certainly able to differentiate between animals and humans, as no person who stepped foot on the ranch was ever harmed. On the other hand, countless cats, dogs, cattle, and even wildlife were mutilated indiscriminately, but it is no worse than what we have done to animals ourselves. The intelligence behind the activity did seem to enjoy tormenting the Shermans, and later the NIDS investigators. At times it seemed able to read people's minds and listen in on private conversations, such as when Gwen mentioned to Terry the possibility of losing the bulls, It acted on that information without hesitation, much like a trickster or prankster would do. At times, it seemed almost omnipotent. More than 20 years later, the Shermans have closed the book on their ordeal. They moved to Idaho and started a new life, accepting that they would probably never know what it was that destroyed their dreams so completely. Robert Bigelow held on to the ranch for many years afterwards. The activity was sporadic throughout the noughties, but never quite reached the peak experienced in the mid to late 90s. He sold the property to Adamantium Real Estate in 2016, on the condition that research would continue. Almost immediately after the sale went through, the activity experienced a huge spike. UFOs have since been photographed directly over the homestead. In Jeremy Corbell's documentary, Hunt for the Skinwalker, he happened to ask the new owner what he says to people who doubt the phenomena is real. His answer was simple: "You're delusional." Whatever the case may be, only time will tell if there is any truth to the tales from Skinwalker Ranch.
I don't know, man.
Oh,
It's pretty crazy.
dude.
So
Yeah.
I have kind of a theory. Like, obviously, if interdimensional portals are popping up, which,
Yeah.
you know, there's lots of stories of that. So if there's like interdimensional portals, is that like, obviously it's not like a rift. Obviously there's something that's creating the portal, correct? I would think like any instance of a portal being created in movies or TVs that we see, and there's something that can trigger it, whether it's an item, whether it's a remote, whether it's a button. If there's something that can trigger that, then obviously it's something tech, right? It could be aliens, it could be an advanced civilization that have tech. When I think government, I think it could be anything, because like you look at like even Resident Evil when they're making nemesises and things like that, right? That's not that far-fetched considering what like some of the Nazi doctors from hell were doing with animal experiments and humans and all of that. And then, you know, as we're hearing with Admiral Byrd's mission down to Antarctica, if that's, you know, more Nazi scientists mixed with alien technology and things like these are all science from the 40s. You know, that's 85 years ago. You know, that's a astronomical leaps in technology, in human technology here on Earth since then.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's you know, and then with all of this happening in the 90s isn't that long ago. So in the 90s, it could very, 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 very easily be government. And even the Skinwalker thing, when I got into talking about like the Nazi hell doctors and shit, like doing the animal experiments, you know, we can't talk about doing these kinds of experiments anymore because they're considered immoral. Do you think like it's almost foolish to think that they wouldn't still be doing them? They're still doing that kind of stuff. They're just not able to talk about it and publicize it because it's wrong. But I guarantee there's countless scientists doing immoral shit constantly, whether they work for the U.S. government or some global organization or some fucking alien organization. How the fuck do we know? Like, it's all speculation. You can speculate anything.
Yeah.
420. Oh, you want to do another one? You want to hit motherfucking
Area 420.
Yeah.
Why
I'm
not?
doing
Right?
it this time.
Why not?
She is.
I seen you. You were almost falling asleep from it. I was like, oh, poor guy. First, first time he's smoked in like fucking 15 years. And you got to be high and talk about skinwalkers.
Oh no, I like that part. That part. It's just that, you know, when it looked like I was like, oh, gonna look like I was gonna fall asleep. I was fucking zoned in.
Oh, I bet.
I was like,
I'm
I just
locked
didn't have my
in.
jaw open.
I'm locked in with this shit, man. The Skinwalkers. Um, Now anybody can watch any of these shows. You know, all these. There's a million TV shows, Tales from Skinwalker Ranch, all of that, really documenting like the research. You'll get some of these shitty photos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But no, I think it really exists. It could be governmental. You know, obviously seeing UFOs. I'm still on the fence whether a UFO is an alien or it's something from Earth. I don't know.
What if it's both?
It very well could be. It very well
What if
could
it's like
be.
what if it's like the things that are happening and, that people think are under government control? Maybe the people in charge of that are under control of some other entity or species from somewhere else, or a organization of entities from other places. Like we mentioned before, the petri dish.
I have a very strong here's my theory, right? I have a very strong theory that Earth was visited by aliens multiple times, right?
Yeah.
And there's a big reason why they don't come back usually, right? I think some have stayed. I think we've been inhabited by some. There's a possibility that they have entire civilizations under the ocean in Antarctica, whatever. If you believe in that. But I was listening to a conversation with much more intelligent people than me. Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about it.
Yeah.
And he said, with space being so infinite and vast, right?
Yeah.
Most of the time, it would only make sense that if they happen to come across Earth as a space traveling species, it's just happenstance. You know, that they came across the planet, because most planets are uninhabited. You know, finding a planet that's inhabited is more like the luck of a draw type of deal. You know, so to think that like they would keep returning, you have no idea how long they were traveling prior to getting to here. You know, we could have been 30 years into their mission, and there's a reason why they never came back. Or, you know, whatever. Time is subjective when it comes to other species, because you have no idea how much something can live. You know, did you know that there's on the topic of lifespan, but there's a tortoise, a big ass sea turtle that I was just seeing that's been alive since like the 1800s. That's still alive today. They live they can live over like 200 years. I was like, that's crazy that you can have an animal that's just seeing the light. And it's because their metabolic rate is so slowed down that like they don't really age a whole lot on the inside.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that's crazy talk. That's crazy talk to me. But then, you know, we hear about, you know, there's ocean species that have been alive for centuries. You know?
Yeah, isn't there a supposed immortal jellyfish?
I've heard something about jellyfish and octopuses are very weird. Their genetics are weird. Everything about them is very, very strange.
Some people believe that they're
aliens.
They're actually not. Yeah, they're not from this planet either. If not intelligent life from another planet, they came on an extraplanetary object. Like maybe they were on the outside of a spaceship, or they were in a fucking meteorite or some shit.
Yeah,
hit the fucking ocean and evolved.
I've seen a lot of that theories with the jellyfish, the octopus, and with fungus. Because there's some fungus on Earth that's not from Earth. There's also I can't remember the name of the precious mineral, but there's one of the minerals that we use like all the time that's only found in meteorites. It's not from Earth. I was like, how fucking cool is that? Let me look that up for a minute, because there's
that's some crazy shit. We depended on something we can't find here. Maybe that's the reason why the idea of traveling to somewhere else is big again, is because we're getting low. Maybe we're getting low on that material. That would be some crazy ass shit. And for all you people out there enjoying your 420, please, again, be safe, be mindful, keep your snacks and your drinks handy, and maybe have that sober friend to keep an eye on you because you might need it. You can't be indulging in outdoor activities if you're too lifted to open the door. That would not be a good thing.
Nickel.
Oh, shit.
Nickel. They said most asteroids and meteorites are made out of nickel. And all of the nickel deposits that we're finding on Earth are from old crash sites. From meteors and shit. Yeah, fucking cool.
It is.
And like I said, it was a very common one. Like everybody's heard of nickel.
Yeah.
You know, like nickel cadmium batteries and everything. Like we use nickel in all types of shit, all types of alloys. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. So now when you see nickel, or if you're interested, you know, purchasing a little knick-knack for your house, get a little piece of nickel. You know, you got yourself a little piece of space. You know, I think the Wormhole podcast needs a fucking meteorite. We need something from space, or some moon, or some moon rocks.
Real moon rocks, not that fake shit.
I'll take both.
Okay. It could possibly work, yeah. I think it's a big scam. I think it's a legal thing if somebody sells fake moon rocks as real moon rocks. You have to advertise that shit as real moon rock.
I think it's difficult to sell something from the moon because no one owns it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that that's what we're doing with that Artemis 2, right? The Artemis program is essentially, we are in a new space race, and we are going to put a base on the moon. And
so it's a real estate run.
It's a real estate rush, just like the last space race was when we went on the moon the last time. Now it's not about flags. Now it's actually about inhabiting it. Go put a base there, claim the land.
Yeah.
And that tells me there's something to it. What's the point? You know, what's the point? Other than we came up with a technology now that we can put on the moon and create some sort of a weapon. We can somehow weaponize the moon. That is the only thing that makes sense. There's no other reason why government would want to be on it. We've found a way to weaponize the moon. Or we have to build some sort of substation on the moon for some sort of travel that they haven't disclosed to us yet.
Yeah, there's also the good possibility that we finally got permission to return, you know, from those from somewhere other than this lovely planet we're on. Because there's a reason, there got to be a reason that we went to the moon and didn't go back.
I don't know.
If you believe we did.
Here's the thing. If aliens fuck with us as much as they say they do, like, wouldn't they just, well, maybe they do give us ships. Maybe they do. Because I would think, like, wouldn't they just give it to us? And they're like, hey, you want to go explore space? Just take this. You know? Like, or at least, like, there's somebody that they picked. But, I mean, for all we know, there is. For all we know, there's some Elon Musk dude somewhere that the aliens have been fucking with since day one, and they gave him a ship, and now he flies all over the galaxy. You know, who knows?
Who's to say that that first trip out there, that what we supposedly saw was what's the chance that what was the only one? Yeah. What's the possibilities that there wasn't a second mission that happened at the same time? Got everybody focused in on here with all the pomp and circumstance, and over here you got an entirely different crew and fucking setup going up to the moon and setting shit up ahead of time. That way, when this happens today, we could be like, "Oh, look what we did."
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. You know, you don't see, like, on any alien spacecraft. We say spacecraft, right? We've never seen it leave our atmosphere, right? Yeah. So it's aircraft right now. If it was able to go from space to air to doing all of that, and then to go in outer space and travel to different planets, like with no propulsion system. Like, I mean, that's crazy. It's crazy to think that even if we are reverse engineering it, how we've never created a system that doesn't require that big propulsion. Because now you can't send a rocket to space without us noticing. You can't be incognito about sending a rocket. You can't like send other ones that they didn't say they were going to do or nothing. Like, we'll see it. The sky is fucking just like a movie theater. You see it going up. But now these crafts with zero propulsion, you won't see shit. No. So if they did have these and they were able to use these, we could have been building bases. We could have had a base up there since the 70s that we don't know about.
Part of the reason like they could still be promoting the rockets, somebody gets money out of it. The fuel companies. NASA just does an abracadabra, poof, there's fucking rocket fuel.
Yeah.
Or the parts for the rocket. And they've been doing it for how long? How many years have they been supplying rocket parts and fucking propulsion and fuel? All these years, somebody is making bank off it.
Yeah.
And if I were that somebody, I wouldn't want my cash cow who's been in my house for generations. I wouldn't want that to dry up.
Yeah, no. That's why
it's too hard to learn new.
That's why they start wars again, because war's a business. Like you can't just shut down these industries. We need to keep them rolling. Yeah, man. I don't know. I think it could be something. Could be something alien. I'm feeling more weaponizing because that's just how human brains work. We got to think of a way to weaponize it. If we're the first ones up there, now all of a sudden we get some sort of a laser fucking beam up there that can shoot anywhere on the earth we want it to.
Yeah. I just hope that it's not one of those things that they're going to weaponize it, but not point it at us because they know some shit's about to happen.
That's always a possibility too.
Was that like some fucking Independence Day type shit, or what was that? Other
like Day After War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds. They were the things were already here. They came up from the ground. From under the ground. That's
probably what we're looking at, dude. If I'm being completely honest, if an alien invasion were to happen, I don't think most of it's going to be from outer space. I think most of it's going to be from here already.
Yeah. Let's hope some of the aliens that have been here for a while have come to love this planet so much they don't want anything to happen to it.
Maybe.
I'd like those guys. That reminds me of a really old show called V. Aliens came to this planet. They were wearing human skin, but they were reptilian.
Oh, but I remember that show actually.
Not all of them were. We want you to be our food, but we're gonna cure you, fatten you up, make you all happy because you taste better that way. Others were like, no, let's not do that. We can get the food elsewhere. Well, let's get this going. But yeah, it reminded me of that fucking show because it was all about they showed up being nice with an ulterior motive. Let's hope some shit like that's not about to happen. Maybe Earth backed out of a business deal.
It's
somebody's coming to collect.
It's possible. I don't know, man. As the more I'm seeing how corrupt the elite system is on Earth, you got to think. Are these aliens going and talking to farmers, or are they talking to politicians? Are they talking
to farmers?
I'm hoping that they talk to the real people and not the public figures, because it's seeming like all of our fucking public figures are corrupt. They
should approach Jim Carrey.
Maybe he's fucking lost it too. I feel like.
Well, isn't that if he's speaking something that's actually true? Wouldn't wouldn't that be the first thing you want to do is to make him? I was just telling my son about that the other day. Is that maybe that's what you would want if you want this person to be discredited and not believed? You have the media and whatnot make you believe that he has no idea what he's talking about, that he's lost his mind.
That's what they've always done. That's what they've always done since day, like, who else? Who else did they make them all seem like madmen?
Yeah.
You know, they don't let anybody have anything. You know, but the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to try to discredit you. You know, that's where all the fake news shit comes out. Because once they discredit you, then, you know, anything you say moving forward is bullshit. They did the same shit to Alex Jones when he's been telling us about all these conspiracies for fucking 25 years. And yet he's been telling us about the Epsteins for 25 years. He's been telling us about that island for 25 years. And he's been trying to infiltrate it and have us fucking shut it down. And he's been talking about the sex trades. And, you know, all of these things, all the chemicals in the water, everything that they're fucking doing to us, he's been telling us about. And the first thing they do is just make him seem like he's a crazy man. He's a lunatic. You discredit him, so nobody believes him. And now look at it. We're all looking back at most of the shit he said for the last 25 years, and you're like, huh, it's fucked up. He was right. And then the man made us think he was crazy. You know? Yeah, that's always been a tactic, dude. The asylums. You know, the biggest thing about like asylums is people would fucking they would have their opponents silenced.
Yeah.
Opponents, wives. Wives was crazy. There was countless dudes that would just have their wives institutionalized or lobotomized just because they'd be like, this bitch is crazy. She doesn't know what she's talking about. And they had no rights. So they would just fucking, you know, she'd be like, what are you talking about? He's insane. You know, and they're like, you hear her? And they're like, and of course it's just the man's word and they just take it.
Yeah.
Bro, that there was so many people that were fucking put into asylums that weren't crazy at all. It was just it was just a different kind of prison that you can elect. You can elect someone has to go there. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's possibly part of the reason why some of those places have such fucking crazy paranormal activity, because all that is, no matter what, positive, extremely negative, everything we do most likely leaves an energy trail.
Absolutely.
Or residual energies. Fucking those places like that, dude, there's a reason why people, when they go to places like Waverly Hills or some of these other crazy sanatoriums, old fucking hospitals, oh, dude, that's the reason why they experience that shit. Like there's some fucked up shit happened at the Goldfield Hotel in Nevada. Dude, that place, just looking at the place, gives you the EBGBs.
Yeah. Oh, dude, there's another hotel has like a bunch of murder stuff out there. I'll have to pull that up sometime. Very cool. I think it was what American Horror Story Hotel was kind of loosely based off of. But there's yeah, man. So many cool that would be a fun one. Get into like a good like murder, possibly supernatural, a little bit of murder. That's some good shit right there. When ghosts attack.
Oh yeah, I think yeah, dude. Yeah. Wow, I'm still a little crispy here.
A little crispy. I was like, man, that's probably lingering with you because it's been so long.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah.
Very fucking fun.
Definitely a little toasty. That's for sure.
This shit. Feeling a little intercranial.
Oh yeah, a little intracranial, sir.
Yes, sir. Hell yeah. Well, homies, it's been a fucking kick-ass 420 kicking it with y'all. This Skinwalker story is fucking crazy. We could keep going on the Skinwalker Ranch forever. There's so much of it. I would just say do your independent research. If this has triggered any interest in you, do some independent research, watch some shows about it. It's pretty crazy. Enjoy your 420, smoke safely, y'all. And until next time, keep your eyes to the skies, y'all. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you all for joining us on this side of the wormhole. Have a safe journey back through. And I hope life doesn't get you down too much.
Yep. Keep it all fucking positive, y'all. And keep your eyes to the skies. It's the wormhole, y'all. Peace.
It's the motherfucking wormhole, homie. It's the motherfucking wormhole, homie. Yeah. It's the motherfucking wormhole, homie. It's the motherfucking wormhole, homie. Yeah. Intergalactic shitheads from outer space. The wormhole pod taking over the human race. With the faces set to kill, we sliding up in your place. Take your credits in your bitch, then disintegrate your face. We assimilate as we roll through the breeze. Tripping off the fungus, getting lifted from the trees. Saying fuck the ops, yeah, we killed them bitches with ease. Doing drive-bys with Bigfoot sliding in UAPs. It's the motherfucking wormhole, homie. It's the motherfucking wormhole, homie. Yeah. It's the motherfucking wormhole, homie. It's the motherfucking wormhole, homie. Yeah.